sometimes we get the question of where can you drive on the beach, where can you camp on the beach. It does tend to vary, and it's changed a lot, especially over the last few years. I'm going to show you the entire Oregon coast, all the places you can and can't camp or drive on the beach. All that starts right now. Hey everyone, Seth Marchant with the Home Team Brokers here. If you're new to this channel, living on the Oregon coast, we show you what it's like to eat, sleep, play, work, all the pros and cons of living on the Oregon coast. And in this video, kind of different, we're going to show you some of the places that you can drive on the Oregon coast, some places that you can camp. There really aren't many. So make sure and hit the subscribe button, tap the bell. That way you'll get notified each time we drop a new video like this. We get people reaching out to us all the time that have questions about living on the Oregon coast or moving to the Oregon coast. And as realtors, we always love to hear from you. So if you're one of those people, give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or you can even click the link below to schedule a Zoom with us. No matter how you get in touch, we've got your back when it comes to moving to the Oregon coast. All right, so here's where we're going to start here on the northern Oregon coast. We're going to work our way south. This is going to be the longest stretch of beach that you can drive along, and it starts at the wreck of Peter Iredale. If you haven't been there before, it's really cool. It's a shipwreck that actually the ship is still, what's left of the ship is still there to kind of like you see in this picture here. They're sitting right there on the beach. So you can drive all the way north from Gearhart, which is about 10 miles. Aside from between May 1st to, I think it's September 15th, you cannot go past the wreck of Peter Iredale. Beyond those dates, though, September 16th to April, the end of April, you can drive all the way as far north as you can actually get. You can kind of see some cars in right there. So this little stretch right here is closed off between May 1st and April 15th, or May 1st and September 15th. But the rest of the season, you can drive all the way, and there's going to be about maybe 4 or 5 different places that you can come in and access the beach off of the 101. Some of these, and I wouldn't necessarily trust, I don't think this is one of them actually. It looks like it. I wouldn't necessarily trust just the aerial view, the satellite view for Google Maps. You probably want to look this up before you go, but this is going to be, so you can definitely access it there, Sunset Beach Road. And then there's going to be a few more spots in between that. Delray, you can access it right there as well, Delray Beach, and then all the way down to Gearhart right here where the McMinimans is. I think this is 10th Street. Yeah, 10th Street access. So you can kind of see those cars lined up right there. That's where it ends. So you can drive this entire stretch of beach from here all the way up here to the wreck of Peter Iredale. Again, that's about 10 miles. So that's probably the most commonly driven stretch of beach along the Oregon coast. Everything else is going to be pretty small. And the next closest spot is going to be pretty far south. We'll take you down there now, which is going to be Tierra del Mar. All the way down, if you've ever heard of Sand Lake, a very popular spot for people taking quads and dunes and any kind of like off-roading vehicles. So you used to be able to come down here and you used to be able to go through Sand Lake and get to the beach in some places, but they have recently closed that off. And if you're watching this video at some point in the future, 6 months, year, whatever down the road, definitely check online and check the most recent stuff too, because there's a lot of articles online about places that you can drive and camp along the beach. And if it's 5 years or 10 years old or something that you're reading on TripAdvisor or Reddit, it's probably going to be outdated. So make sure and get the most updated information. So this right here is where you can access the beach from Tierra del Mar. Again, currently you cannot drive north, but you can drive south all the way to Cape Kiwanda, down here through McPhillips Beach. And this area, in my experience, all the times I've come out here, it looks more like this, what you're seeing here, just the periodic, a couple cars. This actually beach, this is, I think this beach was on our video for maybe top beaches you've never heard of. So this is a really great beach that's really not that busy. You don't see too many people out here. So you can drive this stretch as well, all the way to Cape Kiwanda. This is a pretty massive dune right here. You can't quite tell from the satellite imagery. I'll put some drone footage in there that'll give you a little bit better feel for this dune. It's real popular for people to come here to Pacific City and walk up this dune. And as you can kind of see on this side, looks like people have made a few attempts to drive up there. Hopefully didn't get stuck. I've got some tips for you later in this video too, if you do drive in the sand and get stuck. So currently with Pacific City, this was for a long time a very popular spot. You can see right here where you can access the beach right here at Pelican Brewery. This was a very popular spot for people to come drive and park and hang out along the beach. They recently have closed it off. Can't tell you what it's going to look like this summer or next summer. They might open it back up again, but currently they do still allow people to come right here and park right here and launch their boats, because this is a very popular spot for what's called like dory fishermen. Dory boats. It's a specific type of boat that will go up on the beach. So they still allow you, if you're launching a boat, to come in here and launch your boat, but no currently driving kind of, unless you're launching a boat or just kind of hanging out sort of south of Pacific City Beach, with one exception. And it's been maybe a year or so since I was last here. Pretty sure it's still open, but you don't get very many people coming this way. And let me show you why. So this access right here, and if you're coming from the south, or actually a lot of places in Central Oregon, Salem, Eugene, kind of that area, you're going to actually hit, you're going to come along here first to get to Pacific City. So you'll see this when you're driving into Pacific City. You'll see this beach access right here. Not too many people going down here. In fact, the last time I was there was somebody that was stuck there. And let me show you why. So this is going to be, for all the places that you can drive along the beach, all the spots that I showed you up north, between Gearhart and Warrenton, the beach access is flat. And I'll show you some video of that as well too, so aside from Google Maps here, so you can get a feel for what that looks like. But as you can kind of see here, the beach access, the big problem with the beach access right here is you have a pretty big hill. And it's one thing to get up this hill, but the last time I was here, there was somebody that had gotten up the hill but couldn't get back up the hill to get out of the beach, to leave the beach. So, and they were driving a Toyota 4Runner, which is a fairly capable off-road vehicle. So that'll probably tell you a lot about kind of how steep and how deep the sand is and how easy it is to get stuck, or in this case, not get back up the hill. Now, all the other spots along the Oregon coast where you can access the beach, you're for the most part probably fine not having a truck or not having four-wheel drive. Ideally, you would have at least some all-wheel drive, but I see a lot of two-wheel drive cars, particularly in that spot, like I mentioned, between Gearhart and Warrenton, because it's pretty flat. There's not a lot of deep sand. It's packed down a lot because people are constantly driving on it. This, not so much. So this one I believe is open. You can't head north from here. That's all closed off, but you can drive a ways south down here, and you'll probably see you see some tracks down there. And then you're going to run into a sign, probably not too far into Bob Straub State Park, just down there. So you can't really drive too far, but again, I would not go down this unless you have a highly capable vehicle that's not just capable of off-road, but maybe specifically for sand. A few tips for you driving in the sand. If you've never driven in the sand before, if you lower the air pressure in your tires, if you think about what a flat tire looks like, a flat tire has more surface space. There's more contact space. So the tread from your tire is contacting more of the ground. So you have more tread to work with. So that's why people deflate their tires when they do things like going off in the sand. And then you can just drive down to the gas station and fill your tires back up again. It's helpful if you have a specific tool for that. You can order them online, Amazon, $15, something like that. Don't deflate your tires too much. You can definitely run your rim, your wheel off of the tread of the tire. So you definitely be careful with that. I think the recommendation is really not to go past below 15 or 20 PSI. A typical tire is probably on average somewhere in the high 30s, around 40 PSI, something like that. And if you do get stuck, this doesn't really apply to this area, but going back up to the northern Oregon coast, there's actually a dedicated group on Facebook called I think it's the Clatsop County. This is the county that this area is in, Sons of Beaches. There's about 5,000 people in that group, and it's kind of a dedicated group for off-road enthusiasts for this area, but they're also known for helping people that get stuck. Probably a lot faster than a tow truck. They don't technically charge you anything. These are just good Samaritans helping people out. If you do ever have to call them, I would suggest at least covering their gas and pitching them a few bucks for their time and the tools that they have to use to help people out of the sand. But if you do ever get stuck, just know up in this area, aside from a tow truck, you do have some people that hopefully will come help you. And usually there's a lot of people sort of on call, if you will, that are kind of following that group that will see, if you post in that group if you need help. So they're really great about it. Again, that was Sons of Beaches. I'll put a picture of them in there for you. All right, so south of Pacific City, the only other place that you can actually drive on the beach is going to be in Lincoln City. It's right off of 15th Street. Let's see if we can find 15th Street. Yeah, right here. And this, you really can't drive that far. It's more like parking. I think there's something like a rule. You can't go 150 feet or something like that past this access. So that's kind of why you probably see all these cars kind of grouped up right here. So more so parking than actually driving. And that's all of the places that you can drive along the Oregon coast. Now, as far as camping along the Oregon coast, again, you're definitely going to want to look this up online. Just kind of a general rule of thumb in the past was no major cities like Seaside, Cannon Beach, Lincoln City, Newport, Gold Beach. You can't camp on the beaches in any of these major cities, and you can't camp also near any of these state parks, which when you look up and down the Oregon coast, there's a bunch of state parks all up and down the Oregon coast. So there's very few places that you can camp anymore. Pretty much the rule of thumb these days is you can really only camp the places that you're already allowed to drive. And so if you are going to camp on the beach, a lot of people that are camping on the beach, quite frankly, are camping in a some sort of tent trailer or camper rooftop tent, something like that. I don't really see too many people actually in tents on the beach. If you do sleep on the beach in a tent, you haven't done it before, definitely bring a sleeping pad. You'll find out real quick it's not a whole lot different than just laying on the pavement, so it's very, very uncomfortable. But a reason why that's been cracked down on is it's just not the safest. Again, if there's people driving around, also you've got sneaker waves too. You might be sleeping in the middle of the night and all of a sudden you wake up and you're in the ocean. So you can sort of see some of the obvious dangers of camping and sleeping on the beach. Actually, real quick story actually about that. We had a client years back, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, in Coos Bay in this area that owns a business in Coos Bay. And he was asking us about, some online marketing type of stuff. And he didn't really have much online. And so we had suggested, since he didn't have much content, we had suggested to him to make some videos. And he actually just went down. I'm not sure which beach he went to, but I'm sure it was one of these beaches right around here. He went down to the beach and just randomly started recording and happened to catch, the odds are not very good, but happened to catch a sneaker wave. You can actually find this video online. If you just type in, go to Google and search Oregon Coast Sneaker Wave, it'll probably be one of the top, if not the top video that comes up. And it's currently owned and was published by the Oregonian, which is our state newspaper. He actually sold it to the Oregonian for $500. That is a good example of what you don't want to happen, a sneaker wave when you're camping on the beach. While we're looking down here too, Bassendorf Beach was a place that was a great place to camp along the beach because it's really beautiful down here. But again, you can no longer camp here, at least legally. Now, if you do camp in some of these places, especially if it's somewhere remote, especially on the southern Oregon coast, probably not going to get bothered. There's probably not anybody to bother you. But again, just consider the safety. And then the only other thing with driving and camping along the beach is try and keep it clean. I will say we spent a lot of time on the northern Oregon coast on, and I'll give you some more drone footage here in this section. I've driven this section a lot. I would say for the most part, it's actually pretty clean. And from what you saw from the satellite view, that's probably about right, what you see here. This is probably about typical. You'll see a car every 400 or 500, 600 yards, something like that. You don't find a ton of trash, and so some of the arguments for driving or camping along the beach is that, people leave trash, they leave a mess. There's also ecological reasons, like it disturbs, certain birds, stuff like that. So, there are reasons why, people do oppose this. But if you do this, if you drive along the beach, just make sure that you clean up your trash. And I think in general, people do a good job of cleaning up their trash, but you do see it a little bit from time to time. So if we want to keep being able to drive along the beach, people, we got to keep it clean. Don't ruin it for everybody else. Now, aside from actually camping along the beach, since there aren't very many places to camp along the beach anymore, I'm going to give you some campgrounds that are just right near or right on the beach. This list actually comes from Visit Oregon, and I'll post this list in the description, so you don't have to just remember this. You can just go to the description to find this list here. I'm familiar with a lot of them, but not all of them. We'll take you through real quick most of them. So Fort Stevens State Park, I have camped in here before. I think it's the biggest state park along the Oregon coast. It definitely feels the biggest. There's a lot here. It's a beautiful park. There's a lot of trails and places to bike and hike and a few lakes, as you can see. So this is a great place to camp and also be able to access the beach. Moving south, over here, Cannon Beach. I can't say anything about these campgrounds. I've seen them. I've been by them. I don't know anything about them. Obviously, they're on the east side of the Oregon coast here, on Highway 101 here. So, not the best location, but you're pretty much walkable to Cannon Beach. So I guess that's part of the allure for maybe if you're staying in one of these spots right here. Cannon Beach being one of the most popular beaches along the Oregon coast. Nehalem Bay State Park. A lot of these places that you can camp are going to be in state parks, and all of them are great, especially along the southern Oregon coast. So Nehalem Bay is no exception, and looks like that's. And then next, not familiar with either of these ones actually. Beyond that, okay, down here in Lincoln City, just off of Devil's Lake, this is a great spot right here. You've got a Alcoa Campgrounds of America. If you're not familiar with those, you'll kind of see those all up and down the Oregon coast. They're pretty common. Beyond that, great little spot right there. I've never stayed, but I'm sure you've got some beach access right there. So you're right next to the beach on Tilcomb Beach. Beyond that, Rock Creek Campground, also not familiar with that one, but I'm sure it's probably great. And then next, this kind of takes us back to, Winchester Bay. This whole entire area actually down here, from Winchester Bay, right down here, this is where that sneaker wave was. Now we're kind of getting on the southern Oregon coast, so this is a great state park. I'm sure the campground is great too. I've never been here, but I have been all through here. And Sunset Bay State Park, if you come down here, you definitely have to check out Shore Acres State Park. If you've ever seen any pictures along the Oregon coast, with the exception of Depot Bay where the waves come right up and splash right up along 101, if you've ever seen any pictures along the Oregon coast with a massive wave crashing into a rock or rocks, it probably came from Shore Acres State Park. This is an incredible park. This beach right down here too, Sunset Beach, I've been down here a handful of times when there wasn't a single person. So it's pretty secluded down here. And then this spot over here on the other side too, you don't see a ton of people down here always as well. Now there's always going to be people visiting Shore Acres, but it is kind of remote in this area too. So Sunset Bay State Park, that's another great place if you want to camp somewhere near the beach. Cape Blanco State Park, beautiful state park. I'm sure that's a great place to camp as well. Humbug, this is Humbug too. That's also another great place to camp. This is we're just south of Ophir. I'm not sure if that would be listed as Ophir or Gold Beach, but Honey Bear, the Honey Bear RV Resort. Never actually driven through here, but I've driven past here quite a few times, and I'm pretty familiar with this actual beach. So this is also a beach where you can walk down this beach and never see another single person. So it's pretty remote down here. This is a good spot if you want something that's a little bit more remote. This is also probably one of those spots too, if you did camp along the beach, nobody would probably know. No, there's not going to be anybody there to bother you. So if you want to be kind of a little bit more remote and have some beach access where you can walk for miles kind of uninterrupted, I will say one thing. This creek right here, this is Ucher. Should say it somewhere. Ucher Creek. This creek sometimes, this can kind of vary. This can, depending on the tide, can get really deep, too deep to ford. Sometimes it's just a matter of rolling up your pants and you can get through it. So, and if you can get through it, there's actually, share a little secret with you. There's some really great tide pools. And again, you'll never see another, well, I can't promise you that, but it's rare that you see another person there. All right, beyond that, I'm not going to have too many places left. Looks like really probably just one. Yeah, Brookings. So Harris Beach State Park, also going to be a great place to camp. This is probably one of the more scenic parts of the Oregon coast. So you don't have as many beaches here. You don't have as many sort of uninterrupted beaches where you can walk for miles, but it is a beautiful part of the Oregon coast. And if you do want to walk a little bit more along the beaches, you can just drive back up north here. And I would recommend you go to just past, you go to Nisika Beach right here. Access the beach right here, or right here, this spot right here. Pull off right here on the Ophir Wayside Oregon State Parks. If you want to access this beach right here, because there's not a lot of places where you can actually access this beach. I mean, this is really, unless you live around this area, this is really kind of the only place you can pull your car off. Some people will pull off along the side of 101. You can do that, but it's very narrow, so I wouldn't really suggest it. So that's it. Those are the places that you can camp, not many. So, and these are the campgrounds. Again, I'll share this link in the description. And then there's a handful of places that you can drive. Again, it's going to be just up here between Warrenton and Gerhardt. Tierra del Mar. Pacific City is going to be variable, not so much, and then just that one spot in Lincoln City. Again, if you do drive or camp along the beach, please clean up your trash. If you're thinking about moving somewhere along the Oregon coast, if you have questions about moving or living along the Oregon coast, you can give us a call, send us a text, shoot us an email, or you can click the link below in the description. Give us a thumbs up if this video helped you. If you want to see more videos, this video isn't quite as typical. More of our videos are more about what it's like to live on the Oregon coast, things like cost of living, where to live, what some of those differences are. If you want to see more videos like that, hit the subscribe button, tap the bell, make sure you get notified. You can always comment below too. We'll respond to comments no matter how you get in touch with us. We've got your back when it comes to moving to the Oregon coast. Take care, everyone.